We can learn from the past that occasionally insane, one-of-a-kind race cars need more success in order to survive. The Dodge Daytona, for instance, was outlawed by NASCAR because it was too fast. In the 1960s, NASCAR and racing were very successful, so why would an equally successful race car be completely banned from the sport? The Dodge Daytona's top speed exceeded 200 miles per hour, disqualifying it from NASCAR competition. NASCAR legend Buddy Baker was the pioneer. On the world-famous Talladega racecourse on March 24, 1970, he reached speeds of nearly 200 miles per hour. After that, the Dodge Daytona won 6 more races. The large wing on these Dodges prompted NASCAR to make rule changes prohibiting vehicles with specific attributes. The 1969 Dodge Daytona was able to win races and completely wipe out the opposition until the introduction of new aerodynamic regulations in 1971. It's no surprise that the 426 Hemi became a legend on the track and on the street due to its compact size, massive output, and user-friendliness. The regulations of auto racing are among the most severe in all sports. It's common for series to have yearly changes to their rules, regulations, and general driving and rider requirements. The finest locations to witness this are in GT racing, LMP racing, Formula One, and NASCAR. Formula One has the most rigorous rule-changing schedule, but NASCAR is just a little behind. Nevertheless, NASCAR underwent a significant transformation in 2021. Despite our current preoccupation with the past, we're curious about the rationale and process behind NASCAR's decision to ban the Dodge Hemi. There is more to the tale than meets the eye, including power dynamics and political intrigue. The narrative begins with Dodge's early 1950s automobile dominance. When World War II ended, Chrysler, the parent company of Dodge, incorporated all of the lessons learned throughout the conflict into its vehicles. Soon after, they implemented a hemispherical combustion chamber into their V8s, which they dubbed the Hemi. Since then, Dodge has extensively used the Hemi, most notably in their 426 cubic inch DOHC V8 stock car racing Doomsday Machine from 1964. The 426 Hemi was an exceptionally powerful engine for its day. It had the potential to generate 425 horsepower and 472 foot-pounds of torque. The Hemi engine malfunction was peculiar. It wasn't panned because of shoddy craftsmanship, but rather because of how skillfully it was done. The 426 Hemi was simply too powerful. 26 of the 62 races in the 1964 Stock Car Truck Series were won thanks to the Hemi. Even if it's not a majority, 41.9% of races is still quite a bit for one engine manufacturer. Chrysler and Dodge's car dominated the track in 1964 and the years before, taking unprecedented home victories. Inevitably, supporters became weary of celebrating every victory. At least that's what NASCAR's higher-ups believed. As an aside, we see something similar in modern automobile racing, particularly Formula One. Mercedes-AMG has won all constructor and driver titles since 2016. Keep this in mind, and you'll see how being too excellent might backfire in the end. Fewer people will be interested in a race whose conclusion is already known. NASCAR did not attempt to amend the regulations in order to force Dodge to alter Hemi's production process. They just banned the Hemi as a solution. Therefore, Dodge and Chrysler would not be able to offer Hemi engines in 1965, but they would still be able to compete. After the Hemi was banned from NASCAR, the Dodge Daytona was developed only 4 years later, so it wasn't for nothing. It is now quite evident that Dodge and Chrysler are both delighted with the performance of their Hemi engines. Other companies, though, needed to make a different claim. There was politics in racing in 1965, just as there is now. NASCAR didn't decide against including the Hemi engine in the series as an attempt to appease fans. On the contrary, this was primarily due to the factionalism and political maneuvering of competing factions and higher-ups. The last straw was dealing with NASCAR President Bill France in 1964. Features like these, as well as the rear stabilizer wing, brake cooling ducts on the fenders, and sheet metal cowl over the front grille, suggest that this vehicle was built for top-tier performance capable of changing the course of the competition. Bear in mind that the 1969 Dodge Daytona spectacularly did this, even though the rules had changed and the car was now out of competition. Dodge and Plymouth were barred from racing to prevent them from gaining an unfair edge. The Plymouth Superbird was another aerodynamic automobile that was banned from NASCAR races. Dodge has found a way to get people interested in buying them again by making them faster than ever and adding a modern touch just for good measure. Dodge often refreshes vintage models with new chassis-based iterations. The current generation Dodge Daytona is compared to the original from 1969. With only 500 ever made, the 1969 Dodge Daytona currently has a price tag of over $150,000. Dodge built several wide-body muscle vehicles in tribute to the original Daytona race car. For instance, the 2020 Dodge Charger Daytona. An improved Daytona style has been included on the newer platform. Consumers had difficulty snagging one of these new Dodge Charger packages since the starting price was over $110,000, on par with the uncommonness of a 1969 Daytona today. According to various sources, the so-called not for technical reasons, but because it was not widely available in Dodge or Plymouth Auto's ban on the Hemi purportedly exists. The main criticism was that the price needed to be lowered for most people to pay. It's harsh since the engine price shouldn't matter as long as there are enough of them being made. If it were adopted now, almost every car on the grid would be rendered useless. Ford did the same thing in the months leading up to the 1964 Daytona 500. The new Ford OHC 427 was disqualified since it is not a mass-produced engine. We've demonstrated that the ban on the Hemi engine made the Dodge Charger Daytona possible, one of NASCAR's finest cars. When they were originally released, the Dodge Daytona and Plymouth Superbird shook up the automobile industry. The aerodynamically obvious nose cone and tailwing of the aircraft-looking beast nonetheless shocked spectators. Both muscle cars were prohibited from the 1971 NASCAR races because of their dominance and record-setting speeds, particularly at Talladega. In spite of Mopar's defeat, two racing drivers and their support staff staged an impressive comeback. Harry Hyde and Bobbitt Isaac used a 1969 Dodge Daytona to set new land speed records on the desolate Bonneville Salt Flats. They took the problem by the horns, so to speak, and found a way to make more money out of it instead of complaining about how NASCAR had messed them over. As a consequence, they became legendary. Certainly, the name Bobbitt Isaac was already well known. Starting out on dirt tracks, he eventually won 11 NASCAR races and the 1970 championship. He was a superb driver in his own right and an inspiration to many. But his Dodge Daytona could also be used as a secret weapon. Possible outcomes include his ceasing to drive after the ban was enacted or using his financial resources to make NASCAR look bad. In other words, he passed up an opportunity to do the right thing in favor of one that would have been better. Unlike the story of Ford and Carroll Shelby and the GT40's win over Ferrari at Le Mans, this one is about creativity and determination in the face of adversity. Bobby Isaac and Harry Hyde pushed the boundaries of the Dodge Daytona to their ultimate potential, and a large crew was there to help them. In order to concentrate on the expanding e-muscle market, Dodge recently made headlines by announcing that the company would stop manufacturing all of its existing vehicle alternatives, beginning with the 2024 model year. Those working at Precise Dodge like to joke that the company finally gave in to external pressure and began generating better outcomes. The remark was probably true, considering how much better Hellcats looked in Tesla Model S Plaids than in ordinary attire. According to Stellantis, the current owner of the Dodge brand, all future Dodge vehicles would have the same hybrid and electric chassis. Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, Alfa Romeo, Arbath, DS Automobiles, Maserati, and many other luxury brands are all manufactured by the Chrysler Group, which ranks as the 6th biggest car maker in the world. Their STLA large chassis is utilized in several luxury European sedans, all-wheel drive SUVs, and American muscle cars. This innovative chassis will underlie the Dodge Hornet, Charger, Challenger, and even the Durango beginning in 2024. The STLA large chassis may be used for all-battery EVs, PHEVs, and mild hybrids. Generators powered by Generac's gasoline engine, on the other hand, consistently provide reliable results. Ram's 5.7-liter Hemi V8 is a mild hybrid due to e-torque technology. Dodge is getting into the e-muscle game, and by 2024, every Dodge vehicle will have a mild hybrid engine option. NASCAR is the perfect venue to unveil your groundbreaking hybrid e-muscle engine. In 2024, we anticipate seeing the first hybrid race cars on the NASCAR circuit. A lot of years went by when pushrod V8 engines with natural aspiration were the norm in NASCAR. On the other hand, NASCAR's president recently announced that the Stock Car Series will go green beginning with the 2024 season. Formula One vehicles have been using hybrid technology to increase performance and decrease pollution for over a decade. Hybrid cars have recently dominated the Le Mans endurance races. Phelps spoke at the World Congress of Sports, held by the Sports Business Journal in October 2021. Motor Authority believes he accurately predicted the electrification timeline and approach. The president has mandated adopting some form of a hybrid engine system with an electric portion in all cars entered into NASCAR races after 2024. If Dodge had known that it planned to manufacture electric cars in the future, it might have pushed NASCAR to switch to using them. Dodge has proposed that by 2024, all NASCAR cars will be powered by electric motors. You agree with the current trend? Tell us in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe for more videos like this.